this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for iChess.net, and I'm glad to be back doing videos for you iChess friends. This time I'll analyze a game played between Hou Yifan against Fabiano Caruana. This game is a recent one. It's been played at a Grenke Chess tournament. So let's get started. Hou Yifan was playing white, Caruana was playing black. So we have e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. Here we have the Spanish game, and we know the main move is a6. And apart from a6, black also has the Berlin Wall with knight f6. And this is a tough nut to crack. Knight f6. It's seen a lot at elite tournaments, and usually we reach an endgame after this move order: knight takes e4, d4, knight d6, bishop takes, pawn takes. A well-known endgame, and you probably saw a lot of games with this structure where this endgame is tough to assess. On one hand, white has more space and it looks like he has an extra pawn. On the other hand, black has the bishop pair. His queenside pawns, they look weird, but one day they can become a pawn majority on the queenside. And he also lost the right to castle, but that's not that relevant because queens are off. Therefore, there's not much attack for white. So, tough endgame to assess. You'll find a lot of games with this endgame, and I believe chances are equal. Of course, instead of castling, we can also try playing d3, trying to keep more pieces on board. And after this, knight takes e4. Apart from d4, white can also play rook to e1. Black plays knight d6, already attacking our bishop on b5, but we can take here. This is better than playing bishop takes c6, because then black simply takes, and he has a great position. He's about to castle soon, he keeps the bishop pair. And we don't have a great development yet. As you can see, all our pieces are on the first rank. So, knight takes e5, we have a tactic. If knight takes b5, knight takes c6, winning black's queen. So, let's see the move order once more. Knight takes, bishop e7, and bishop f1. This is well-known theory, and bishop f1 I think it's correct, because trading on c6 is just helping black. Here we see another position where black can either play bishop e6 or bishop f5. He's got all his pieces out, whereas we have every single piece on the first rank. We don't have any development, and the only black weakness we see is c6, c7, and I'm not even sure this is a weakness. So knight takes c6 is a bad option, and even worse is bishop takes, because then he'll push our knight back with f6, and he still has the bishop pair. So after bishop e7 we play bishop f1, and we already have to choose as black. Knight takes, rook takes, and castle. This is the main line, and I found over 600 games with this variation. In fact, this was played between Carlsen and Karjakin in the World Championship 2016, last year. The game I recall is the one where Carlsen played d4, bishop f6, and instead of rook e1, which is the main move, he played rook e2. which is weird looking, and after b6 he goes back to e1. This was the famous maneuver where white wasted a tempi, but we waited till he played a move like b6 to weaken the f3 a8 diagonal. You can check that game. It was a draw, but I think Magnus had great chances of winning. I still think this line should be equal if black plays correctly, but what Caruana played, I think it's good too. He castles here. We still give the chance. We still give white the chance to trade on c6, and as we pointed out before, this is good for black because he has a good development. And Hou Yifan plays d4. This knight f5 is a key move for black because then he can try moving the d7 pawn, therefore developing bishop c8. White goes back to f3. As we said, taking on c6 is not a good idea for us. We are losing the initiative, and black can even try playing c5 in this position, getting rid of the only weakness he has. So knight f5, we play knight f3, and c3. We control the center as white, and here we are ready to play the plan we do in the Ruy Lopez, which is driving our knight to the kingside. I think that works. Otherwise, if we stay with our knight on d2, bishop c1, we'll have some issues to develop. So bishop d6. I like the plan Caruana played because after bishop d6 he improves his bishop to a better diagonal. And let's see the follow-up. Knight c e7. Black is trying to play a symmetrical position. If he plays c6, he'll have a solid center. He's also overprotecting his knight on f5. That knight, I mean, we are not used to seeing a position with a knight on f5. Usually the knight is on f6. So here he gives extra protection to this knight, and basically he'll have a good pawn structure as well. I feel that the resulting position is equal because, okay, we see white improves his pieces a bit. We attack this knight. I like this move, overprotecting the knight, and as we'll see, f6 is coming next. Then black has every single square under control. We won't be able to play moves like this. So knight f1, f6, and here I believe I did these arrows when I was analyzing the game. So f6, we can see black can try playing a plan like knight here followed by bishop f5. As black, I'm interested in trading white's bishop on d3 because we know this bishop is a bit better than bishop c1. As we can see, bishop c1 is crashing into the pawn structure, whereas bishop d3 is slightly better. White could try doing the same thing, trying to trade off bishop d6. It's not possible though. So f6, Hou plays h3, and this is an useful waiting move. I'm not really sure white is trying to stop this. Black can try advancing on the king side, but it's also true black's king is there, so if he opens the king side, it's too risky in my opinion. h3 works like a good waiting move, and rook f7 is the first surprising move maybe in this game. I'm not saying it's a mistake. Of course, we are talking about a top player at move 15. He probably had an idea. Knowing how the game was, maybe rook f7 wasn't the most accurate move, but who knows. I have the feeling we can try as black doubling up on the e-file, trading a lot of pieces off, and the game should be just equal. I don't feel white has any advantage here. I mean, apart from moving the rook, I wonder what happens after a move like knight to this square. Of course, my idea is to play bishop f5, and I don't think this move is annoying at all because I can play this, and if bishop takes, black retakes, and here he's even a bit better because of the bishop pair. I mean, bishop h6 is not stopping my idea. White probably has to go back to d2, and I wasted the tempi. Maybe I can try playing something like this, and as I said, the game should be equal. Black is extremely solid. I don't see weaknesses to attack. Maybe after a move like this, white should consider knight to e3, and if he wants some action, he can try going for c4 at some point, opening that position. So rook f7, white continues with solid moves, bishop to d7. Here we see it's tough for black to double up on the e-file, trading pieces off. For us, it's easier as white. We play rook e2, rook e1, and it's not easy to see how to continue, but we know our pieces are better placed than black's. And I believe after rook e2, here comes the mistake by black. I know it's tough to play a passive move like queen c7, or even trying this idea. I know it's a bit tough to play passive as black, and maybe after c4 we see white has a pull, I agree, but as black we are too solid, and even if white plays queen b3, maybe bishop e6, this looks suspicious, but everything is protected. Now the rook on f7 is doing something, guarding the b7 pawn. Black is too solid, and it's also true that white has an isolated pawn on d4. So I believe black is okay. He has to defend for a while, but since he has a solid foundation, he shouldn't have many problems in the long run. What I feel here is that Caruana wanted to play active instead of playing a passive position, and he went for c5, which is a bit risky because after pawn takes, bishop takes, he's got an isolated pawn on d5. That's not the main issue, but when you have an isolated pawn, you want to get activity in return, and black's pieces are not well placed. In fact, as we'll see, he'll have issues to double up on the e-file. So Hou Yifan plays bishop f4. I like this move because we are trying to put pressure on the isolated pawn on d5, and also when we play against the isolated pawn, we are interested in trading pieces off. The more we trade, better for us, because if we play the endgame, d5 will only be protected by black's king, and it's going to be a real weakness. So we are ready to trade on d6, for instance, if he plays bishop d6. So rook to c8. We keep on improving our pieces as white. We see that rook on f7 is not doing much, and black goes for this kingside advance. I'm pretty sure Caruana knew this is weakening his position, but I also understand he wants to play active. When you have a worse position, if you play passive, your opponent is not likely to make any mistakes. So if you play active, then, well, you create counterplay, and maybe your opponent doesn't find the best moves. But Hou Yifan plays this move, which is a very good one, instead of bishop h2, which is also possible, but maybe black continues with h5. I like this move because we answer a threat with another threat. And of course we are trying to trade pieces off. Here black has to take our knight, because if he goes back, let's say he plays that, I can simply move my bishop back. I'm already happy this knight went back, but I can also play this move. And I don't think he's trapping my bishop on h7. In fact, if he plays f5, I can simply take, and he is absolutely lost. And if he plays something like knight h6, then, like the previous variation, his knight is not active on f5. I'm already happy with that. And black's weaknesses, they speak for themselves. I think he's almost losing here. Despite having equal material, he cannot improve his pieces and his king is too weak. So, after knight there, he takes, bishop takes, black plays a5, and when he plays a5, I don't think he's trying to stop b4. I mean, let's say he passes here. We cannot play b4 because he can take. What I feel is he doesn't have any useful move on the king side, and that's why he's playing a5. I mean, if he tries a move like h5, since his king is there, we can easily exploit this move with this, and he's likely to lose a pawn. Or we can even play this, and since his king is too weak, we can try sacrificing. So a5, I think he's trying to do something on the queen side, but white keeps on improving his pieces, just in case we get out of the c-file, and why not? At some point we can try sacrificing. So a4, I like this trade, takes, takes, we are ready to advance with b4 too, and as we said before, despite having equal material, black's position is too tough to play, because his pieces are not coordinated at all. The isolated here, and maybe on the king side we can try advancing soon in order to create more weaknesses. He tries this, and since all our pieces are doing something already, we can play h4. I mean, we cannot improve queen d2, the bishop on d3 is great, our rooks are doing a good job, and knight at f3, well, maybe we can try improving our knight, but I think it's time to punish his kingside weaknesses with h4, and he cannot play h6 because his knight is hanging. So he has to take, and it's true that we are trading some pieces off, that's favoring the defending side, but here he's got new weaknesses. In fact, every single pawn is now isolated. So, unless black finds very good moves, I think he should lose soon. Because of the weaknesses, he has queen f8, queen f4, bringing the queen to the king side, bishop d6, and, well, once we play queen f4, this is definitely the first move we have to analyze. Here we have a wonderful square for our queen, attacking almost everything, and black plays rook d8. So I think this is a key variation we have to analyze. What happens if bishop e5? And apart from tactics, we have to understand how this position works. I feel that if we take on d5, we are just giving him a lot of counterplay for no reason. Despite having an extra pawn, he's activating here, and maybe he has some tricks. We know d5 is too weak, and we can of course take it, but after bishop e5, his king is what matters, and we can just sacrifice this change, and I don't see good defenses here for black. We know that our bishops are too powerful and his dark squares are too weak. We have to realize this is winning for us. For instance, he can try this. We take a second pawn just in case, and after bishop c6, I think the simple rook f5 is winning. Too many diagonals. Bishop c4 check is coming, so is bishop f6, and okay, he can check us one time, but after king f1 he is absolutely losing. This is not the only variation black can try, but it is easy to see. After rook takes e5, white is winning. So after queen d4, he plays rook d8. Once more, we don't have to fall for the trap of taking on d5 because he activates too much. Here, for instance, he attacks on e2, and our queen on d5 is at risk. He can try bishop h2 check, followed by rook takes queen. So after rook d8, another great move by white. We are ready to transfer the rook to the kingside. We still have to deal with black's bishops, but the chance is there, and we are still controlling the e-file. So bishop c8. White is on a passive strategy. We know bishop e5 simply runs into rook takes, pretty similar to the variation we saw before. This is probably worse because rook d8 is also hanging. So the other move he can try is bishop c5 maybe. But we have this with the check, and then the transfer was successful. So he tries bishop c8. Another great move by white, stopping bishop c5. And basically black is running out of moves in this position. He cannot move rook f7 because f6 is hanging. He can try moving this bishop on d6, but eventually we can try trading this bishop off because it's good for defense. Or we can try what white tried in the game. After this move, bishop b5. We have the chance of exploiting his first rank. And we see why rook f7, at least in this position, is not well placed. Maybe when Fabiano played rook f7, he had some good ideas, but here black is not able to defend his first rank. If bishop d7, for instance, we can simply take, and well, if this, we simply win the queen. Only move is rook f takes d7. It smells that we should already have something. With this check, his first rank. Here, for instance, this would be a nice puzzle. You can pause the video if you want, and in 10 seconds I'll tell white's move. Here white wins with rook e8, exploiting his weaknesses on the first rank, and after rook takes, queen takes, bishop takes, it's mate. Next move. So after bishop b5, if he cannot play bishop d7, he's in a lot of trouble. he plays bishop c7, and Hou Yifan plays rook e8, which is definitely winning. I wonder what happens after bishop e8, because we win this change, and there's not much black can do about it. Even if he tries queen d6, we have the in-between check, and then we take on f7. This should be clearly winning for white. So rook to e8, queen d6. It's key to find in-between moves, and that's something we see a lot when we see games between strong players. So queen b6, and once we are attacking, we don't want to trade queens off. It is better to keep queens on and continue the attack. And here we have a good example of a sus1. Black cannot move. I mean, if he trades pieces off, we play bishop takes, and suddenly this rook is lost, because if rook f8, we have rook e7, and we simply mate him. So rook takes e8 is not possible. Bishop d7, well, this is actually what he played in the game, and is the most natural move. And apart from that, if he takes, then this is making things easier for us, because now we bring the queen to the king side and he's forced to playing king h6. That looks completely lost for black. So bishop d7 is the only real try. We just take, and I like this move because we are limiting black's options. Of course he cannot take here because we win a piece, and if rook if he plays this one, he's giving up on the first rank. This is actually what he played. If rook f takes d7, yeah, I understand why he took with the d rook. Here this is an easy win for us. In fact, I think it's made in the next moves. So by playing bishop takes d7, we limit black's options. He has to take with the d8 rook, and we have full control of the first rank. His king is absolutely weak, and what matters here is that queen b6 is far away from the king side. So it looks like this is our chance. When I was watching this game, I thought this move was instantly winning, because black's queen is lacking squares. He has queen a7 though. I still think we are winning, but then I realized what Hou Yifan played here is much better. We just said his king is weak, his queen is far away from the action, so let's go for the mate. Here this is a threat, and if he plays h5, we just take it. So after queen f5, Fabiano takes our bishop. We cannot take because our king is there, but we obviously have in-between moves. Even if we have the chance of taking the bishop, we have to consider in-between moves, and this check looks deadly. He has to play king h6. We can just maneuver to take the bishop with check, and here black resigns. His king doesn't have good squares, and if king h6, well, having that king there should be, well, easy for us to find a mating net. This looks absolutely winning, but maybe he can resist for a while. I don't mind checking him. Here, for instance, I improve my queen's position, and after king h6, there's no way he stops rook h3, and we of course mate him. So, a very interesting game. I'm surprised, not by the result or the position Caruana got. I mean, this can happen to anyone, of course, but from a solid position after c5, by simple moves, white got a big edge. And what is surprising is that Caruana, who's a great player, got outplayed like this. I believe it's because of c5, and I also believe that he didn't want to play too passive, and with c5 he expected to get an active position. I think what happened is that Hou Yifan played extremely well, and with a solid foundation, she found the way to exploit black's weaknesses. So a lot to learn by analyzing this game, and I'm also happy to be doing videos for you guys again. That's all for this one, and hopefully I'll analyze other games from this tournament. So take care, and I'll see you guys in other videos. Thank you.
Master Damian Lemos. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.